Well, we got a listener question here from @Matt_invests on Twitter. And Matt asks, would love to hear your thoughts on the monster VICI Properties acquisition of MGM Growth Properties. I like the merger, but VICI stock performance says different. Matt, you've taken a look at this deal. What did you see?
Well, first of all, one kind of key concept for investors to know is that when one company acquires another, what happens 9 times out of 10 is that the acquisition happens at a premium, which we saw here. They're paying a premium for MGM Growth Properties. And so the target stock goes up, but the acquirer's stock tends to dip, at least at first. There are exceptions, like when Square announced it was acquiring Afterpay, Square went up, but generally the acquirer goes down a little bit. So keep that in mind whenever you see an acquisition like this.
Yeah.
I love this acquisition from a strategic standpoint. It essentially means that Vici Properties is going to own the Las Vegas Strip. If you're not familiar, MGM Growth Properties spun out of MGM Resorts a few years ago for the purpose of owning a lot of their assets. They own the Mirage, the MGM Grand, the Mandalay Bay. They own a lot of their regional assets like the National Harbor that's near you. They own the Borgata in Atlantic City. That's an MGM Growth Properties property. Vici was spun out of Caesars, so it's essentially the same business, just coming out of the other gaming leader. It was spun out of Caesars in 2018. They own Caesars Palace in Vegas. They own another, the Harrah's on the Las Vegas Strip, and they own a lot of regional assets. And they're in the process of buying the Venetian, which was the formerly owned by Las Vegas Sands, which is also on the Strip. So the Las Vegas Strip is essentially made of 3 companies' casinos: MGM, Caesars, and Venetian. So now Vici Properties is going to own a big portfolio of regional assets, the biggest landowner in history on the Las Vegas Strip. This is going to create the biggest experiential real estate investment trust ever. Roughly $45 billion of real estate's involved in this deal. And there's scale advantages to be had of controlling that much land in one area. They see financing synergies. Vici has better credit than MGM Growth Properties. Sees an opportunity to refinance its debt at a lower rate because it's acquiring it for $17.2 billion, and about a third of that is debt. So that's a big potential catalyst going forward. And they're also getting MGM's properties, although they're paying a premium based on the stock price. They're getting the properties for a discount to replacement cost, which is a big benefit if you're in the development space. Just to name one example, MGM Growth Properties acquired MGM Springfield up in Massachusetts earlier this year for $400 million. That property cost almost $550 million to build.
Oh, wow.
So they got a big discount to that. So Vici estimates that on the aggregate, they're getting a 30 to 40% discount to replacement cost for all of MGM Growth Properties assets. So there's a lot of strategic benefits to this deal. I'm a fan of both companies. Like I said, they're essentially the same business. Just one came from MGM and one came from Caesars.
Right.
So it makes sense. I mean, I can't name an acquisition that would have made more sense for either company.